So where and why is a desert? Let's think about what causes a desert to form and what can cause a desert to change. Now, deserts often form anywhere where the atmosphere is very dry, very arid, right? So this means that the movement of air around the earth can affect where deserts occur. And we know that atmospheric moisture circulates around the earth in pretty typical patterns, right? Predictable patterns. Now, near the equator, it's hot, it's moist, and there the hot, moist air rises. This produces a lot of clouds and a lot of rains near the equator. If you've ever been to the tropics, you know it's hot and it's wet. Now, after that hot, moist air rises above the equator, the circulation cells within the atmosphere are going to push that air towards the north and towards the south. And because that air is hot and moist, it's going to rain out near the equator. So the air that gets pushed towards the north and that gets pushed towards the south is going to become drier because the rain is going to have rained out. It's going to have left. This means that after the clouds rain out, there's cool, dry air that ends up at the latitudes 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south. And this is where deserts commonly form, right? When that hot, moist air rises above the equator, rains out, so that cool, dry air is left to move north and south. That cool, dry air creates deserts at 30 north and 30 south degrees latitude. And we can look, or we can see that this is a map of the US, and we can see the deserts shown in the gray to yellow tan color tend to occur around 30 degrees north and 30 degrees south because of that air circulation in the atmosphere. But also notice, if you look at this image, not all deserts lie at these latitudes. Right? Some of them occur elsewhere, like the deserts in the US Midwest, they're above 30 degrees north. So what causes the deserts to end up there? Well, ocean currents can also play a role. So anytime there's a cold ocean current next to a tropical coast, it can actually cool the land surface below the land temperature, and this decreases the amount of evaporation and precipitation. So if you look at this map, red is a warm ocean current, blue is a cold ocean current, and you can see that along the US West Coast and along the South America West Coast, there's a cold ocean current. And this is going to decrease the amount of evaporation and precipitation along those coasts, which is why we get deserts in the American West and in the west of South America. You'll also notice this is why we get deserts in Australia, on the west coast of North Africa, the west coast of South Africa. This helps explain a lot of those deserts locations. But again, not all. So there has to be other things that explain why deserts occur. And one of those is people. People have a profound impact on the landscape around us, and we can actually create deserts accidentally, but we can create deserts. So anytime we poorly manage the land around us, for example, if we overtill our agriculture, this can decrease the amount of moisture in the soil. When we overtill the land, it exposes the wet soil to the dry atmosphere. The water leaves the soil, creating a dry area, and this can cause extended droughts. So for example, the Dust Bowl in the 1930s, yes, that was a dry year, but it was exacerbated by poor farmland management from people. We made that so much worse than it would have naturally been. All right, finally, wind can also affect where deserts are. Right, so we know that wind is constantly blowing along the Earth's surface, and wind can pick up and carry materials like water vapor. So if that wind blows over the ocean, it's going to pick up moisture and carry that to another location. But if the wind blows over dry land, then it's not going to be picking up moisture. So this is one of the reasons why the Sahara Desert is so large and so dry. It's because the wind, the predominant wind coming into the Sahara Desert, didn't come over the ocean. Instead, it the continent of Asia. So that dry land air reaches the Sahara, doesn't bring much moisture with it. All right, finally, the wind can interact with the landforms to become dry. So when wind blows across a mountain range, the air is forced to rise up and over that mountain range. And when the air rises up in elevation, it gets colder. Cold air can hold less moisture in it. So when that air rises up the mountains, the water vapor in the air will condense into clouds and rain out, so that by the time the air comes down the other side of the mountain, the air has lost its water, it's lost its rain. This is what we call a rain shadow. So anytime you see a mountain and right behind that mountain is a really dry, arid location, it's likely that that dry, arid location was created due to the rain shadow of the mountain, that mountain blocking the rain, the moist air from reaching the other side of the mountain.